After leading 19-6 throughout the course of the game, the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray crumble in the game's final seconds. Have they blown their shot at the NFC West? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals post-game show presented by our friends at Bet365. Never ordinary. I'm Johnny Venerable, the playmaker, Britton Golden, Craig Morgan, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter. Cardinals blow a prime opportunity to beat the Minnesota Vikings for the first time in Minnesota since 1977, falling 23-22. We're here to vent. Let your voices be heard. We're live here at the Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Thanks to everybody who came out. Thanks, Cardinals, for playing today. That fourth quarter, brutal. Brutal on Kyler Murray. This defense, Jonathan Gannon, questionable play calls. But first, before we jump into everything, download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why, whatever the moment, never ordinary with Bet365. It was a horror show in the final quarter of play. Craig Morgan, where do we start?
I mean, initially, I think you have to go all the way back to the first half with all the missed opportunities they had to put this game away. When you have 5 of 6 drives with that sort of opportunity, you got to find the end zone. We may not be talking about anything that we're talking about now if they had just converted in the first half, but when you flip to the second half, Jonathan Gannon put that game on his defense's shoulders. A defense that had not allowed. It allowed 1 TD in the last 3 games, just 4 in the past 5 games. They just chose to go for the field goal instead of going for the end zone on 4th down. It came back to bite them. They couldn't get the stand that they needed very late in that game to pull out a victory.
Britton, they held the Vikings to 6 points through most of this game, but it became evident late that the defense was whimpering, and you had an opportunity. Cardinals had 1st and goal at the 5, and then a questionable penalty set them back. You get that. Then the, what was the play? Intentional grounding on Kyler Murray. And then you had a decision to make. Do you go for it or do you allow Kyler Murray and this offense to go on the sideline, which inevitably what happened? You kick a field goal, and thus really was the game decided there in your opinion?
I think so. Yes, you're only up by 3. If you go for it, you don't get it. But they have to drive 96 yards at that point. If you do get it and you get the touchdown in that situation, you're up 10 with 2 minutes left to play, 3 minutes left to play, which forces Minnesota into more of a dire circumstances. But, I agree with Craig. You missed so many opportunities in the first half. I think there was a graphic they put up there. Me and Craig were talking about it. Out of your first 6 drives, 5 of them you got into the red zone, and you got 4 field goals and a missed field goal out of that. Right, which in all seriousness, if the missed field goal is a made field goal, you still win this football game. And it forces different types of things. If you score touchdowns instead of scoring field goals when you get in the red zone, this game is out of reach, and there's no way that the Vikings have an opportunity. We talked about it at the halftime show. Between the 20s, it was a great game plan for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
When you got to the red zone, play calling was very, very bad.
Yeah.
I thought, they were 1 for 27, I guess, on a draw call on 3rd down today, right? 1 worked, and it was like, hallelujah. But I do not like where the play call. You could kind of, I think we were talking about it before, you could see Kyler's face when he heard the play call on that 4th and 10 play on the field.
I'm glad
he
you stay
already
on that.
heard
Stay
it
on
and
that,
was
yeah.
like, why are we – this in his mind, yes, body language, yes, you can say whatever you want to say about the guy, but when he heard the play call, and it looked, even the routes, there was nothing open on 4th and 10. So you can blame the interception. The interception is bad. Yes, it's a prayer at that point. It's 4th and 10. You're just trying to make a play at that situation. First interception was a bad one, but that final play call, you basically ran 4 verticals, and you just threw the ball up and said, hey, somebody's got to come down and make a play here, and nobody was open. I thought it was a very lazy route by Marvin Harrison on that last play. He's trying to run the Fitz call. I think Fitz caught this twice a game when we were playing here, and he's trying to fake the over to get back out. to a corner or flatten it out. And he gave no indication that he was trying to go across the field, which in turn, the DB ran the route for Marvin on that play and set himself up for an interception. So, I mean, play calling, execution was just bad in all aspects today in the second half.
Yeah, it's just the biggest gut punch, I think, of the season thus far, in a season that's featured many highs. This is probably the lowest point. And it's not that the season's over. It's not that the Arizona Cardinals can't come back from this. They've got to rally against Seattle, who, by the way, overcame obstacles today and beat the Jets on the road. Congratulations to them. They're firmly leading the NFC West now by a game. But for the Arizona Cardinals, like, you had an opportunity leading at the first quarter, leading at half, leading at the third quarter mark. I mean, this is a game that Kyler Murray and Jonathan Gannon are going to want back badly. And we talk about, like, what's it going to take for this franchise to turn the corner? You got to win games like this. It's 1977. You haven't beaten Minnesota. Like, we put Kyler Murray in these hierarchies of quarterbacks, and for good reason. He can do special things, but he's lost to Geno Smith and Sam Darnold back-to-back weeks, and their teams are in, firm playoff contention, and Cardinals are out of the playoffs right now. It's 6-6. That's the reality of the situation. Do I think Kyler Murray will and can rally? Absolutely. I mean, the Cardinals had control of this game, and they needed one more special play from their special player to put it away, and he couldn't do it today. And so I probably put most of the blame on play calling. Listen, you can nitpick Jonathan Gannon and decision making late in that game, but that defense overachieved. He's a defensive head coach. Like, you had so many opportunities to gut this team in the first half. Now, if you want to critique Jonathan Gannon's decision on third down in the red zone, how many times in the first half to have a draw play, have a run play, and defer to field goals, like, that's what he's going to have to answer to, because, I saw some people chirping on Twitter like, well, Gannon has to okay that. Well, if that's the case, then he plays a big part in this loss as well, because clearly your defense that we thought was impenetrable folded in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was just saying, okay, this is going to be this type of game. We're going to rely on our defense, but you have to get aggressive in a couple of those situations and go for the end zone. I don't think you can call him blameless in this game. Going back to the defense for a little bit here, they were really successful in the first half when they were dialing up the pressure. We saw them come out at halftime, and they weren't bringing the pressure, and it's almost like it lit a fire under the Minnesota offense again. And I know they were, again, trying to come with pressure on that last drive when they scored the touchdown, but it surprised me a little bit, I guess, that they altered a game plan that was working.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly frustrating. It brings us to our Sanderson Ford drive of the game, and I'm not even going to go to the last drive. I'm going to go to the second to last drive, gentlemen. And again, officiating wasn't great today. You could make an argument that the Cardinals were on the wrong side of a faulty false start by, I think it was maybe Tip Ryman in the red zone.
It was Tip. It was a terrible call.
And Tip himself had a really rough game. But basically, the Cardinals were first and goal, I think, on the 5-yard line. They had all the momentum after a Trey McBride first down, and then proceeded to have a false start penalty that wasn't, a Kyler Murray intentional grounding call. Kyler Murray then hits a pass play to Trey McBride over the middle for 12 yards, 4th and 4 on Minnesota's 4. So again, you don't get the touchdown if you go for it. They have to go 96 yards to at least tie it with a field goal. Gannon and company opted for the field goal like they did the entire game. And listen, while it wouldn't have been the decision I made, Britton Golden, I understood it because the defense, they had picked up the slack the entire game. They had given up to that point 16 points. I said, you want to let your defense win you this game? I'm okay with that. But at no point outside of the fourth down did it feel like the Cardinals defense was ready on that final drive, to the point we were always saying, hurry up, let him score so the Cardinals at least have a shot. I think the game was lost there. 4th and 4, and you opt to kick on the 4-yard line, and people are letting him have it because of it.
If you wanted your defense, to go in there, I think you have to go for that 4th down right there.
Yeah.
It's 4th and 4. If you don't get it, they have the ball on the 4-yard line.
Yep.
They have to go 96 yards or whatever. They got to go 60 yards to get into field goal range, but it's a different situation. Because if you find a way, you've been feeding Trey this whole drive, and he's making plays. James Conner's running the ball successfully. Yes, he went out. He had the little hand injury or whatever it was right there. But at this point, it's 4th and 4. You got to dial something up. You have to try to go for the end zone in this situation. Because like I said, if you're going to put this on your defense anyway to make a play, why not pin them inside their own 5-yard line if for some reason you're unsuccessful on the 4th down, and now you force him. Now you dial up pressure. Now you make Sam Darnold uncomfortable when he's in his own end zone trying to throw the football, and maybe you get a play out of that. Now, if they drive 96 yards and score a touchdown or kick the field goal, however it works in that situation, then yes, whatever. But I think it was the decision was not, I didn't like the decision to kick the field goal. I thought you were just trying to play it safe and trying to get points on the board. If this was the first half, understandable, but this is the game. And you need a play to happen, and if not, I just didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was the right one.
You mentioned Trey McBride too. I don't understand. Like the fourth down call, for instance. Why are you going away from this guy?
Yeah.
He's been your moneymaker all day, all season. 12 catches, 96 yards today. Why aren't you looking for him in those situations? I'm going to my playmaker in those situations. If I lose, okay, so be it. But at least I gave it a shot with my guy.
Yeah, and you saw Trey McBride kind of take over that field goal drive. It was, I think, a 3rd and long, and he spins upfield and gets you yak. And the Cardinals were in firm position. James Conner leaves that drive, and it just felt like the Cardinals had no sense of what they're doing. And again, it's on your quarterback. I mean, Kyler Murray threw a bad interception early in the 4th quarter when he was spinning out of pressure, and then he threw an interception to end the game. Now, you felt like the interception to end the game was a snafu on everybody's part. Play caller, you didn't love the route by Marvin Harrison Jr., which has been a critique of his. Like, walk us through that final play, in your opinion, where it looked like Kyler Murray was animated before the play even started, that he didn't love the play call.
I mean, you could kind of see on the sound when the play gets called, and you kind of see, his reaction, his body language. It was like, I don't like that play call on 4th and 10, and it's understandable you don't. Now, when you see the routes go out and you see what what you got out of that, I was not impressed with the play call either. Now, understandable, you still got to make a play. It's at that point, it's 4th and 10. You're under pressure. You got to get rid of the ball anyway, and you're just putting it up. You put yourself in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Right? At that there in the end, that Paris gets beat on the outside, and the guy somehow magically knocks the ball out of the hand, right? And now you put yourself down, and you're in 3rd and whatever it was, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 17. I felt like Petzing just tried to dial up a Hail Mary on 4th and 10 from his own 35-yard line, and then the ball gets intercepted, and what are we doing here? You have to sit here and say, oh, Kyler sucks this, Kyler sucks. He threw another interception. The first one was bad.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. First one was a bad interception. It's all on him. One, he was under pressure. He was trying to get rid of the football. Maybe he thought Michael Wilson was going to keep it high, so he just let it go, right? It's a bad one. There's no excuse for it. But the last one, it's going to go down in the book as an interception, but it was just a Hail Mary play is all it was. It was like, this is our final go. He either gets sacked in the pocket, and now we're yelling at him for taking a sack, or he lets it go and tries to have somebody make a play.
You were pointing to a statistic here in the box score that I think we all felt. We don't even need to know the number. I want you to read it off, but I think we all felt it as the game progressed there.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison had 12 targets in this game, caught 5 balls. Mm-hmm. He's been among the lowest receivers in the league most of this season in terms of completion percentage versus targets.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And we saw today that a big part of the problem was Marv.
Yeah.
And it is. It's even earlier in the first ball that he got batted down, I said something about it. I said he did not threaten Stephon Gilmore one bit running that hitch route. He came off slow. It was very lackadaisical and lazy in the route, and you wonder why the ball gets batted down as a DB. If you don't threaten him and force him to think that you're going downfield when you're running a breaking route, he's going to sit. He's a veteran corner. He's been in sleep for a long time. He's seen everybody go through it. He's played against all the greats that have gone through here. If you don't threaten him deep, he's going to sit his feet and not move, which is going to give him time to break on the football. I think Marvin's got to find something in himself. Somebody's got to be able to talk to him and say it. Maybe it's his dad. Go talk to your dad, figure something out. But
you're missing the dog right now.
The route running is so lazy. It's almost like you're sitting here like you're not at Ohio State no more.
Right.
Like, you're not going to get away with just let me throw up a prayer and you're going to go up because you're better than that guy in front of you. This is the NFL. Like, everybody out there is good.
Yeah.
Right? So lazy routes, you're not getting open running lazy routes out here. You've got to be able to run the route with conviction and sell that route. If I'm running a hitch route, I got to force him to open his hips so I can create separation, and he didn't do that today at all.
No, we got more from this game, including Bo Brack at U.S. Bank Stadium. We're going to hear from Kyler Murray and Jonathan Gannon in just a little bit here on PHNX Cardinals. Well, the only thing that picked me up here after that dumpster of a fourth quarter, maybe some Black Friday shopping, maybe some shopping with our friends at Branded Bills right now. Bonus code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. So we've got a double dip here. You can check out the PHNX exclusive caps from Branded Bills at the All-City Locker, or check out all the phenomenal gear they have at brandedbills.com. And again, PHNX for 20% off your first order. They're a local company based out of Mesa. They do a tremendous job. Snapbacks, fitteds, beanies, tees. They've got U of A hats. They've got ASU hats. Congrats to ASU on their big win yesterday. Again, if you're looking for a brand to help you stand apart from the crowd, they make some of the best hats. And again, like I see them all over the valley. I'm always like, that's a sharp hat. I wonder where it's from. 9 times out of 10, it's Branded Bills. Again, head to brandedbills.com. Bonus code PHNX. Damon Dog for 20% off your first order.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we are excited to welcome our newest sponsor here at PHNX Sports, and that is Verizon. I've had Verizon, me and my family, for as long as I can remember. Every cell phone I've ever had has been a Verizon phone, and it's the best coverage that you can get anywhere in the country. And it's the season to switch to Verizon. So right now, when you sign up, you get a $200 Verizon gift card when you switch and purchase a select phone on unlimited plans. Verizon lets you trade in any phone, any condition, guaranteed for a great deal on a new one with the ultimate unlimited plan and a phone trade-in from Apple, Samsung, or Google. So switch now. Get a $200 gift card only at Verizon. $200 Verizon e-gift card sent within 8 weeks. Requires device payment. Purchase minimum retail price of $799.99. And port in with new smartphone line in postpaid, unlimited plus, or unlimited ultimate plan required.
Do us a favor, fam. Drop in a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Again, hammer that like. We're shooting for 1,000 likes here on a post-game show. Get everybody in here, and let's have some fun. Hit that like button as we continue on a dreary Arizona Cardinal loss. Again, had an opportunity to win this game, put themselves in firm position to make the postseason. They were 6-4. They fall to 6-6 now. And again, the schedule, Craig, it gets a little bit more favorable. You know, they play Seattle at home next week. Seattle's won 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. Then you play, you know, a bad Carolina team, a bad Patriots team. Then you got 2 in the finale against the Rams and the 49ers. This is when you're going to need your head coach, Jonathan Gannon. Yeah. Now more than ever. What do you think the message is to the team today?
Well, you know, coming away from this, you don't like the fourth quarter, right? You don't like the missed opportunities. But if I'm looking for positives in this game, I see some of them. I liked the offensive line today. I thought they responded today. Yeah. They protected Kyler Murray well. So you got some things that you can build upon. This was not the performance that we saw in Seattle. We knew this was going to be a really tough environment, really tough game for them. And if you're still in that playoff mode that Jonathan Gannon was talking about earlier this week, you have to realize that even though they lost this game, Seattle Seahawks are coming to your building next week, and if you beat them, you're going to be back in first place in this division. Yeah. So there's a lot ahead of them still. You mentioned the 2 easy, I don't want to call them easy games, but you got the Patriots and the Panthers.
Winnable games.
Well, games you have to win, right?
Yeah.
So you got a chance to go on a 3-game win streak here, get yourself to 9-6, and then you're in really good shape going into those final 2 games, those 2 division games against the Rams and the 49ers.
They got to put it together, Britton Golden, especially like they came out of that bye white hot. They had won 4 in a row. They were one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Do you think there's a hangover with this offense specifically? Like the defense, you know, it played good enough to win. We've talked about it. I know they gave up the Sam Darnold legacy drive at the end, which is gross. But again, like you give up 23 points, you force a turnover, you consistently get your offense opportunities. Like what's missing with this offense right now?
It's the big play factor.
Yeah.
Right. The checkdowns are working, right? The short, the medium, the intermediate passes, the 15 to 20-yard passes. The Diggs ran today, right? Kyler threw great ball. There was a couple of dig routes that were right in front, bam, over the top. It was fine. I think you're missing one, and it's red zone. Deep ball, we don't have a deep ball. Like we don't throw deep balls. Like that's the big one. And then red zone offense has been atrocious, and that starts from play calling to execution, right? Regardless of the play, you still have to execute it out. It wouldn't be in the playbook if you didn't think it would work. Now, you're playing, I don't know. Sometimes I think Drew Petzing's playing, Division II college football with some of these play calls he's putting out there. All right, we're running a draw on 3rd and 8 in the red zone. And it's like, are you going to catch them by – when DeMercado's in the game, he's either pass blocking or running a draw.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't even pay attention that much, but if DeMercado's in the game, there's a draw coming or he's pass blocking. right? And it comes back to the point of how predictable is Drew Petzing week in and week out when he gets put in these situations.
Yeah, and again, the pressure now mounts. You're not facing Eberflus. You're not facing the Jets. Those wins have not aged well, given where the Jets and the Bears have gone collectively. I think, like, you want to talk about big wins over, the Chargers and the Dolphins, that's fine. But when the season now is on the brink and you can really separate yourself, and, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They've averaged 14 points per game post-bye in two outings, in two games that they could have easily won because of how well their defense has played. The offense lost you this game, and it starts with your quarterback and your offensive coordinator and your number one wide receiver. Like, to your point, gentlemen, the offensive line played well enough. They had allowed one sack today. Yep. They had the run game going enough where I was surprised the numbers were as good as they were. 31 for 154 on the ground, 5 yards per carry. I mean, the trio of Drew Petzing, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Kyler Murray, they got to figure it out. You have to figure it out because the season's hanging in the balance right now.
On that note, and I want to ask you this, Britt, because we were talking about him while we were watching this game. What is Michael Wilson's role in this offense, and should it be maybe a bigger role?
All the hype between Marvin right now, I think Michael Wilson is your wide receiver one right now. One, he runs good routes. He runs his routes with conviction. He tries to sell his route. He makes the play when it comes to him. He uses his hands to catch the ball. He doesn't go up with his chest. He doesn't look nervous when he goes up for the football. He looks confident. He knows that today he went up in the middle of the field. He knows he's going to get hit, and he tells himself, why not catch this ball anyway?
Yeah.
Right? If I drop it, it's 3rd and 10. If I catch it, it's first down. Right? It's one of those situations where I think Michael Wilson is playing as wide receiver one outside of Trey McBride. Here, but we're going to have to stick with Trey McBride at tight end.
Right.
Yeah, he's our tight end.
He's the guy.
But I think you have to start game planning for Michael Wilson more than you need to start game planning for Marvin Harrison.
He had a spectacular catch last week, the over-the-shoulder catch. He had a spectacular catch today. And then the concentration on the tip ball to come down with that play. 3 incredible plays right now. I do wonder, how does Michael Wilson, when they're drawing up the game plan on a week-to-week basis, is he just an afterthought in this offense? Should he be more a part of it?
Hey, it's what it feels like in certain situations. It feels like you're trying to treat Michael Wilson as wide receiver too. Mm-hmm. And he's the guy that's, if he gets open and Marvin's not open, we'll try to look for him. But I think it needs to switch. The catch last week, going back to what you just said, I said it on air and last week. I said, that's the hardest catch in football. I said, that's going to be probably one of the top 3 best catches that happen all season long that will get no credit just because he caught it with 2 hands, right? But the degree of difficulty is crazy. And he does it again this week, right? He makes a crazy over-the-shoulder catch. He makes another good catch on a dig route in the middle in traffic. The concentration on the tip ball to go up and make a play off of that, it turns into Michael Wilson is the one that's making the plays and doing things to try to make plays for you on offensive receiver. I think he's just the second thought right now in the play calling of the offense. I think they're just using him as, hey, if Marv's not open, we'll find, maybe we get Michael Wilson. But at this point, everything Michael Wilson does is like he's trying to make a play in the situation, whether he gets and look at it.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the targets, and he hasn't all season long. But when his number is called, who makes the play?
Yeah, we know.
Right?
Number 14.
It's one of I don't understand that.
Number 14, number 85. Let's get to some counting cards here on a PHNX Cardinals post-game show brought to you by our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And we mentioned it. Marv did have the one touchdown. That pulled the Cardinals up 19-6. They were in firm control of the game at the time, but could not close, gentlemen.
It's a great catch.
It was. And again, that's what he teases you with plays like that. But here's what the frustrating part, the yak ability is not there right now. Mm-mm. The yak ability, the explosiveness, breaking tackles, that's what made Julio and Jamar Chase and A.J. Green, these alpha receivers go. Where I know Marvin's a special prospect, but right now there's just the ingredients aren't adding up to that. And so he looks like a guy that is kind of still finding his way. I don't want to call him lost necessarily. I think that's disrespectful, but I mean, to me, it's like they need him to be what they drafted him to be to win this division, Craig.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I also, the psychology in the room, Britt. Does it send a message if you do what you're talking about, if you start featuring Michael Wilson, does it send a message to Marv? Do you worry about losing a guy when he's a rookie, when you've counted on him to be so much. I don't know what the psychology is there. He's a great kid. You talk to him. He's unbelievable with us in the room.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any issues from an attitude standpoint, but do you want to send that message, and what effect does it have?
Listen, at this point, if that hurts you as a player, you're a rookie one. If it came in and they started designing plays for Michael Wilson at wide receiver one more than they did you, and that hurts you and it hurts your feelings, and you go into a shell and lose yourself, you're not mentally tough enough to play this game anyway. Right? It happens every year. There's a guy that's going to step up and going to make the plays that he wants to try to help win a football game.
Yep.
Right? When you're consistently running lazy routes, when you're consistently putting the ball on the ground, when you catch a ball and you can't break a tackle or you can't get any yak after that, like, you're telling me that you're a possession receiver.
Yep.
Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
But that's not what they drafted him.
He's drafted to be the number one, and it's not working. So if it comes in and they say, hey, you're going to go to wide receiver 2 this week, and we're going to feature Michael Wilson and Trey McBride, and that hurts his feelings and he gets lost out of that, you're not mentally tough enough to play this football game.
Vikings were 1-8 on third down today and won this game. Absolutely brutal. Cardinals dominated 406 to 273 total yards. Let's get back to counting cards here. Kyler Murray with 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Can't happen. I know that there's an emphasis, gentlemen, to not take a sack and to not lose yardage. But, he threw that pick to Byron Murphy. Probably just should have gone down, let Blake Gillikin do what he does, pin the Vikings deep. And then the interception on fourth. That last possession, I'm sorry, just there was no cohesiveness. He's throwing underneath routes to Trey McBride. Like this is somebody that in his history has a tremendous deep ball. He's got no confidence in his deep ball right now. I don't know if it's play calling, the receivers, he's in his own head. But that last possession, it's like they needed to go about 60 yards in a minute and 15 seconds with 3 timeouts, and they couldn't go 20 yards. Yeah. I mean, it was an embarrassing final possession where Sam Darnold sitting back there and throwing darts, and Darnold had been sacked 5 games. Like, it's just not good enough. It was a perfect encapsulation, Craig, of how inept the offense was today.
Yeah, and when you look at Kyler's game before the fourth quarter, you were feeling okay about it, right? Yeah. I didn't have much of a problem.
He was managing the game.
He was managing the game. And
5 incompletions in the first half for 150 yards.
Right. And that's been him most of this season. Been an incredibly efficient quarterback. He hasn't put the ball in harm's way. He's taking care of the football. And then it all breaks down in that last, we see 2 interceptions, which is so uncharacteristic of what we've seen. And again, I don't want to throw, again, like you said, that second interception on him, because we all saw it. Like, we were wondering why he was questioning the call, and then we saw the call, and we're like, oh, that's why, because that was a bizarre play call on fourth down. But still, he just, like you said earlier, Johnny, you felt like this game was one big play by Kyler Murray away from being cemented.
Yeah. He had an opportunity, and give the Vikings defense credit. Brian Flores called a really good game. Second half especially didn't allow Kyler Murray to take over. And, Cardinals will have to own this loss and try to salvage their season next week. And then the last number on counting cards, it's Mr. Reliable. Trey McBride was tremendous again. 96 yards on 12 catches. He caught every pass thrown his way. 12 for 12 for 96 yards. And again, not targeted in the final 2 plays of the game. Very disappointing. And again, like, the Cardinals want to have their cake and eat it too, where they take Marv and they're like, we're a big play offense, but not really. We love tight ends. And a receiver didn't catch a ball into the late part of the second quarter for this team. Marv didn't have a catch until just under 2 minutes. And it's like, I want to believe Jonathan Gannon when he goes on pregame and says Marv's going to have a big game. And then I watch the offense and what they want to do, and it's 2 completely different things. Like, I think the Cardinals got caught with their pants down a little bit, respectfully. Like, they took a receiver, maybe felt pressured to by their GM, by their scouts, and they don't have an offense that showcases wide receivers. They have an offense that wants to run the football, that wants to do ball control. 3 tight ends had catches on the opening drive. That's the Cardinals' offense. I keep sitting here every week, gentlemen, and I'm waiting for, this supremely gifted passing game, downfield vertical attack, and sure, you saw glimpses of it. That's not who the Cardinals are, and maybe will ever be under Drew Petzing.
Is that what they have to be with Marvin Harrison Jr., though?
I don't know. It's not worth it.
He had 12 targets, right?
My thing is this, though. We can sit here and talk about the throws, and we can talk about the play calling and whatnot, but how often are we seeing Cardinal wide receivers creating separation? right? That's another big thing that goes into, when you're sitting here with, oh, he threw an interception here, he threw an interception there. He had 3-4 seconds in the pocket a couple times, and there's nobody open.
Yeah.
Right? Except Trey McBride or James Conner. And everybody can sit here and we can criticize the check down. But when your guys outside and in the slot are not creating separation, if he just starts throwing the ball, we're going to see what we saw in the last play of the game.
Yeah.
Because we're not creating separation. He starts to get he's been back there for 2 to 3 seconds, which is all the time he should really need.
Yep.
But when nobody's open and then the pocket starts to collapse, and it's either take a sack on 4th down or get rid of the football.
Yep.
You've got what you got on the last play. So, I mean, yes, there's blame that goes on the quarterback. There's a lot of blame that goes on play calling. There's blame that goes on offensive line. But there's a lot of blame that is not getting put out there right now about receivers creating separation. Receivers. I'm not saying tight ends because Trey McBride's creating separation everywhere he goes.
Yep.
But receivers are not the route tree is not there. They're not scaring anybody on defense in that defensive backfield with any threat deep. Because, one, we don't throw the ball deep. There's no threat of a deep ball, so these guys are playing these Cardinals with flat feet at 10 to 12 yards. We're just going to slightly backpedal and then sit where your break point is.
We got Jonathan Gannon right around the corner. Craig, go ahead with your point.
I was just going to say, by the way, do you remember at the beginning of the season when we were talking about Greg Dortch and the opportunity that he was going to have out of the slot and possibly how difficult he was to defend one-on-one? In the past 6 games, he's got 6 catches for 19 yards total. 19 yards. They don't go to him, but what's happening there?
I don't think they prioritize receivers in this offense. I know Marv's been underwhelming, but I think it's both. I really do. Like, you're telling me if this was, I don't know, I'm putting a high, if this is Sean McVay, you're not scheming Marvin open, you're giving him one-on-one looks. I don't know. Everybody's got to be better. Like, the offense was atrocious today. Thinking you were going to win that game with field goals is a slap in the face to this fan base here. We're going to get to Jonathan Gannon, his rationale right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Tough day for the Cards, tough day for us with our friends at Bet365. Did not hit our parlay, did not have a James Conner touchdown, which I thought was a lock, gentlemen, after certainly what he did yesterday. New contract extension, well-deserved, but today James Conner held out of the end zone. The only Cardinal, by the way, reaching the end zone was the aforementioned Marvin Harrison Jr. I hope you had better luck with our friends at Bet365, never ordinary. Download the Bet365 app, use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. A place $5 or more, you get $150 in bonus bets. Again, that's why it's never ordinary. You got to be 21 years and older, physically located here in the great state of Arizona. If you were someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov for more information. Again, boosted bet today, up to 1,000, did not hit, but we will be back next week with a new bet and hopefully a Cardinal dub. And speaking of being back, we love being back here at Wild Horse Pass at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Again, big thanks. Had a capacity crowd again, back-to-back weeks, man. Keep doing Gila dirty. Cannot get a Cardinals dub to save our life when we're out of here, but man, oh man, do the folks out here pick up the vibes for us. Tremendous food. The food was on point. We had a special menu today for our PHNX Cardinals diehards, our faithful. We want to see you out here. We only got a couple of these bad boys left, just 2 of them. Come out and show your support. We love our friends at Gila River Resorts, 4,500 slots, live table games, and more. We're going to be hosting watch parties, not just Cardinals. Hopefully the Suns can pick us up with our watch parties and getting a couple dubs. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com, gentlemen, for more info. I teased it around the break. Everybody drop us a like as we hear from the head coach, Damon Dog. Let's go rapid fire. Jonathan Gannon, moments ago following the Cardinals' dismal fourth quarter collapse, losing 23-22.
That's a good football team. I thought we had chances, and we didn't close out the game. So goes into really 2 phases. I thought special teams did well. The value of scoring points in the red zone. I think we got the first and goal on the 5 on the last drive. Went backwards with 2 penalties. That's tough to go. Couldn't get a stop there. Got it to 4th and down. Give credit to them. But we'll be back at it tomorrow. We got to look at the tape, you know what I mean? I think we went backwards on the one last drive. Obviously, that was brutal. We just got to figure out ways to punch the ball in for touchdowns there, not field goals. Yeah, I mean, there was thought about it. Just wanted to go up more than a field goal there, But definitely a decision point that we talked about. So be it. Yeah, I thought he did enough today. I'm sure he'll want some plays back, but I thought he made plays with his legs. The touchdown pass, couple conversions in there. I thought he played well enough to win. Yeah, I thought he did good. I don't know what he finished with. I think he had 6 plays in the first half. I thought he was disruptive. 1 run, I thought he was disruptive. Thought he was getting back there a couple times. He'll have some plays he's got to clean up, but it was good to get him out there.
He's mentioning Darius Robinson, who didn't show up on the stat sheet, got some time in, and I was a part of a couple big plays, taking up assignments there. LJ Collier had a sack early in the game, thanks to a D-Rob double team. So Darius will be able to build off of that. Jonathan Gannon, you could tell, very humbling moment. That is a good team. The Cardinals went into this environment. I think what hurts the most, Craig, is they had him beat today. They had him beat throughout the course of the game. You got an early turnover from Aaron Jones. He fumbled it to you, and then you fumbled that opportunity. And then, how many times I think where I push back with JG, whom I love, is, well, yeah, you're taking field goals because you're kind of conceding field goals.
Yeah.
It did not feel like, listen, if there's disconnect and you're trying to throw the ball in the end zone, especially in the first half, and you're having to kick field goals, like, you got to clean that up. But when you're actively telling everybody, like, we believe our defense can win us this game, and we're going to run draw plays to Amari DiMercato on 3rd down. Like, I think we all knew at that time, it's like, I don't know if this is a winning formula, and it bit him in the ass today.
Yeah, I hate to beat a dead horse, and the Cardinals scored 13 points in the second half against a good defense. You would have liked a little more, of course.
Yeah.
But I go back to the first half. You had a chance to really open up a sizable lead, take command, and really change the offense that you were going to see from the Vikings in the second half if you had been able to punch a couple of those in. Some of it was execution. There were problems there, but some of it was simply play calling, your decision-making in those situations where you didn't go for it. You weren't aggressive. You were playing a little too passive, a little too conservative, saying, let's just keep adding to the point total, and you came up 1 short.
I agree. I mean, but it's been there. The passive play calling, we've seen it every week since we started the season. You can go back to the Buffalo game week 1. We came out, we scored in the first possession, we scored on the second possession, we got a field goal in the third possession. We were aggressive, we were throwing the ball, we were running the ball, we were doing things. Then you come out in the second half and it was like, okay, we're not going to do anything we did in the first half. We're going to try to conserve this game and try to knock some clock off. And then you go 3 and out, you might get a first down, then you go 3 and out. It's to the situation of like the passive-aggressive take on offense is not going to get it done. And at this point in the season, where even JG alluded to it for the game, every game you play right now is a playoff game.
Yeah.
If you have any thought of even trying to want to make the playoffs right now, these remaining games all have to be treated as playoff games. So offensively, play calling as standpoint, you've got to find a way to be more aggressive. You got to push the ball downfield. You've got to get everything going. Like, just it's 3rd and 15. Let's run a draw play. That tells me you have no chance of getting this first down. And you're scared to put the ball in the air. Right? You're just trying to push it up and try to flip field position with a punt. If the ball goes incomplete, okay, you're punting anyway. Right?
Yep.
Don't sit here and run. On 3rd and 15, we want to run a draw play, and we're going to get 2 yards on the draw play. And it was a point. You might as well throw an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
At this point, he's got to start pushing the ball downfield. But at the same time, it goes back to what I said earlier. These receivers have to find a way to create separation so he has the confidence to want to push the ball downfield.
Who do you put the blame on? Drop a comment, drop a like on this video. Again, our goal, we got a ways to go for our goal, friends. Help us out, 1,000 likes here on a post-game show. We have some more clips here that we want to get to, but first, let's get to some of your super chats. Damon, let's start hitting some of these. We appreciate your patience. We got Bo Brock from U.S. Bank Stadium in just a little bit, but we're going to hear from the super chats for now, Damon.
Yeah, let's hit some of the bigger super chats here. We got Girthquake 1999. Thanks, man, for that level of support. Said refs were putting up MVP numbers today.
It's tough, man. I mean, the Cardinals didn't
beat themselves in situations. They put themselves in bad situations.
I mean, Tip Ryman was atrocious today. He had how many penalties?
Is not going to help you. But I mean, the holding penalties, they were all holding penalties. So there's not you can blame it. It's bad timing with some of the calls, but put yourself in bad situations in the holding penalties. And playing behind the sticks all day long, you're in 3rd and 15, you're in 2nd and 20.
Yeah.
Right? The easiest third down you have is 3rd and 7. Like, you're not putting yourself in favorable positions to pick up first downs. But I thought the final false start penalty was a little egregious, and it just turned into a dumpster fire after that. But
you let it take. I mean, that play still your 1st and 10 on the first and goal on the 10.
Yeah.
You still had every opportunity in front of you to at least allow yourself, Craig, to try to make a play on 4th down. But I thought the pass protection was better. I still thought Paris could have played better. I thought, Grenard and Van Ginkel, Tip Ryman was in hell today. I thought Jonah Williams and Tristan Colon were just okay. I mean, but again, you start playing some of these better teams, and the offensive line that's looked great all year is going to be tested. Let's keep it going, Damon.
Iron $20 says Drew doesn't understand pass schemes. He doesn't understand offensive strategies in close games. Tip Ryman needs to be fined $10,000 per penalty, since that's what the NFL players respond to when K1 is in panic mode and throws deep, instant interception.
Well, I mean, you get yourself in a situation where he's already moving backwards because he's being chased. I don't know how many of you guys in the chat can run backwards and throw the ball.
No.
65 yards. If you can, man, all power to you. Maybe you need a job, but under pressure, throwing the ball deep. Yeah, would you like to see him throw it away? Agreed. Like, the interceptions are bad. I'll agree with you there. But, that's when you've got pressure coming up the middle, pressure coming outside, and you're trying to get away from somebody and try to throw that ball that far downfield, it doesn't matter who you put back there. Josh Allen throws interceptions there. Patrick Mahomes throws interceptions there. Aaron Rodgers throws interceptions there. They all throw interceptions in these situations. Then they're all bad. It's all on the quarterback, but, it's pressure. It's a tough position to play. That's why they get paid the big bucks to play it.
Doc XD 999 says, Kyler haters, you don't know ball. His 2 interceptions were prayers and failed scramble was him trying to break a run for the team. He didn't fail at playing QB today. He failed to be Superman, and it happens. He did fine.
I thought he was okay, but the 4th quarter, I mean, he got outplayed by Sam Darnold, Craig, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I don't think he goes blameless on the 1 interception.
No.
The second one, that we've talked about, we've beaten that one to death, but that 1 interception's on him, and you did feel like, okay, Kyler, this is the time to deliver. That's been one of the criticisms of Kyler, right?
Last week and then this week.
Yep. When it's crunch time, when it's time to deliver, can you make the plays? And of course, as Britton alluded to, it's not just the quarterback making those plays, right? Everybody's got to be in sync. They get the most attention, but you want a guy who can make plays in those situations. He wasn't able to make the final play to put this game away.
I mean, he was supported by a run game that Sam Darnold didn't have today. Sam Darnold was the leading rusher for the Vikings with 22 yards. He was supported by an offensive line that Sam Darnold didn't have today, 5 sacks. I mean, Kyler and the offense had a chance to step on the throat of the Vikings today and end this game in the first half, in the 3rd quarter, and they couldn't do it. And again, there were other people to blame, but when you have opportunities, this is a winning business. That's the beauty of the NFL. Like baseball, you have your WAR, and you can dissect things. And even in basketball, like non-franchise players get paid big money for bad teams and bad organizations. The NFL it's a winning league. You either win or you don't, and you should get paid accordingly off of that. And again, we talk about the hierarchy of quarterbacks. Like if you're paying Kyler Murray $50 million and you're in a position to win the NFC West and you're taking losses to Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, that stings. It's not an indictment of K1. It doesn't, corrupt his legacy, and he's got an opportunity to rally next week. But he needs to rally. Like that's the beauty of this game that you played, Britton Golden. It's a production results business, and his defense played well enough to win the game. The offense failed.
And it's been the story. It's been the narrative in all the losses for the Cardinals this year, I believe. I mean, outside the defense has legitimately overachieved all season long. They've given you opportunities to make plays, to score points, to put your team up, and you failed to do it. And that starts from the top. Play calling, player execution, all the way down to that. The offense has just been a very lackluster and inconsistent aspect of the game for the Cardinals all season long. So, I mean, for the defense to be able to do what they've done all season long, and, I mean, you've had success in spurts on offense, but it's been highly inconsistent from top to bottom.
Not good enough. Let's hear from Marvin Harrison Jr., who spoke to Bo Brack and the rest of the media just moments ago.
This one hurts for sure. On the road against a really good team, really good team. And like you said, we kind of had them on the ropes there. Went up 6 in the last drive, and we just couldn't get it done on both sides of the ball. Offense had a chance to win the game. We had 1:15 left, and we didn't do that.
It's tough, man. You want more from a player that obviously cares, and the plug-and-play aspect of Marv being the polished, pro-ready prospect, 4th overall, it just hasn't transpired. Like, I think it's as cut and dry as we can make it, Craig, is like everything that we were led to believe that we built up with Marvin isn't coming to fruition. That doesn't mean he's a bust or he's a miss, but like what we were sold hasn't transpired, and I think we have enough, sample size now to say that's the case.
Yeah, I agree with that, and but what you also said is relevant here. A lot of comparison has been made to Larry Fitzgerald, to Anquan Bolden, the seasons they've had. Remember what they were like when they were rookies. Were they making an impact on a weekly basis? They were not. And I think part of this is, and I don't want to blame social media or media entirely on this, but I just think there's so much more attention on the NFL even now than there was back then, that guys get hyped so much. You expect this guy to step into the league as a rookie and just be an instant star, week to week game breaker. It doesn't happen very often. Yeah. We have to let Marv grow a little bit. I don't want to throw any labels on Marv yet and say, oh, he's a buster. That's ridiculous. He's made some plays this season. Does he have areas for growth? Absolutely. Like, the thing that I want to see, though, however this season plays out, there's still obviously 5 games left. He's going to have a list. He's going to have a to-do list this offseason.
Yeah.
And he better get to it.
Yeah.
Because Britton has brought up some of the things that we are not seeing from Marvin Harrison Jr. this season. Those have to be on that list, and they can't show up next season.
No, you're right. I mean, the fact of putting bust next to the name, no. Right? Because there's plenty of these big-name receivers that have been drafted, the number 1 receiver off the board, and you don't go out there, right? It's very rare do you have a number 1 receiver go off the board, and he's just – like the Mike Evanses, the Justin Jeffersons that have just consistently put up 1,000 yards. You're not going to get those every year. And not every top rookie receiver is going to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of room for growth. I'm giving that. I had somebody in there say I'm giving Marvin too much flack and not giving enough to Kyler. Like, listen, the receiver position is a what have you done for me lately position. Right? There's so many guys, and you see it year to year, week to week. There's guys that go out that don't make the plays that start getting less features. Right? You got to go out there, and you were drafted for a reason. You were drafted high for a reason. You were brought in to be number 1, and you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do to be the number 1 guy right now. So yes, you're gonna get flack. I'm gonna be critical of the guy because you know what he can do.
Yeah.
You know what he can be. And it's almost like he's playing uncomfortable and nervous. And we've talked about it for a lot of weeks about that now too.
The nerves are obvious.
It's there, and you can see it when he's catching the football. The catching the football for him is the big part. There's bobbles, there's double catches, it's body catches. I don't know if I'm confident enough in going out there and make that right now. And like you said, Craig, there's got to be a to-do list going into next season where the stuff that hindered you in year 1 has got to be out of the mix in year 2.
To what do you account the route running, the lack of crisp route running? That because that's not about a lack that's not nerves there. That's about details. That's about staying to your fundamentals. You got to know what you're supposed to do on every route. So what do you account for that, or what do you attribute that to?
I mean, a lot of it could be I'm not getting the ball. I'm not this. Just because I'm not getting fed all game, and you just kind of check out. Maybe he checks out, and I don't know. I played the game a different. Now, obviously, I wasn't Marvin Harrison. I was undrafted. I didn't even play that much receiver wise. But I feel like when you get out there, you can't get lost in this saying, I'm not getting the ball. I'm just gonna line up here. I know I'm not getting it anyway. Because in the NFL, very rarely is the first read the one that's open anyway. Right? So if you run, you've got to run route, and you've got to run it like you're getting the ball every single time you go out there. Because if not, you're going to start having tendencies. Guys are going to start checking your body language. When you line up on the line of scrimmage, they're going to look at his body language. He's not getting the football. Look at how he's standing. All right? When he gets to the football, he's down, he's ready to go. When he's not the number 1 read in something, he's not there. I think it's just got to be more of it's up here. It's in your head. You got to let the small things go away and just ring. I'm going to get the ball on this route. Even if I don't, I'm going to run the very next route like I'm getting the football.
We're going to get to Bo Brack in just a minute here on a PHNX Cardinals postgame show. Cardinals couldn't come up money today, but you can with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to providing financial solutions that make lives better. And again, they're offering financial solutions tailored to helping real people like me, like you, like anybody listening right now. And it's bigger than just a transaction and ATM, which they do have. They've got checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union, the only place you can show your team spirit. Every transaction you make with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card, show your team spirit online. Open up a free checking account. Go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. Love those debit cards. Love the helmet. Love the player. And, of course, the Redbird right dead center. Love the deals with our friends at Sanderson Ford's. Black Friday continues. If you think you missed out on buying, I don't know, maybe a new F-150 at not a premium price, maybe getting 3.9 APR financing for 66 months, it continues. Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday into Monday. Monday, the deals are still there. Again, get that new 2024 F-150 with 3.9 APR financing for 66 months, plus up to $4,000 in cash back. Similar savings on over, not 700, not 800, 900 new and pre-owned vehicles on the lot. Perfect time right now. If you're thinking to buy a car for a loved one, if you got a new driver in your household, they're going to give out more than that. They've got $1,000 Amazon gift cards. They've got Broncos, Mach-E, Lightning, F-150s, and more. It's the expedited Black Friday through Monday deal. Do not miss it now with our friends at Sanderson Ford Black Friday thank you sale. Again, it expires tomorrow. Get out to their Glendale location. They are fantastic. They are always on point. Speaking of on point, you've waited. He's here. Bo Brack via Coach Stark Homes. Bo Brack at U.S. Bank Stadium. Fresh off meeting with Jonathan Gannon, meeting with Kyler Murray, meeting with Marvin Harrison Jr. Bo, we've dissected this game 8 ways through Friday. What is your initial takeaway from a game that the Cardinals frankly blew in the final seconds?
Yeah, I mean, there was the blown game at the end, but missed opportunities throughout, right? I mean, there was a team moving the football, but just couldn't get the job done when it meant the most. In money situations, they couldn't get it done in the red zone. They just had one, big play to Marvin Harrison Jr., and outside of that, they had to settle for field goals. And a lot of that, I think, according to Jonathan Gannon, the Cardinals quarterback, Kyler Murray, they was shooting themselves in the foot by getting big-time penalties in that area and setting the offense back after doing a good job marching down the field. So I think that there's a lot of discuss. We talked to, Marvin Harrison Jr., we talked to Darius Robinson, JG, Kyler Murray. They all understand that this game was in hand, and they came away with the loss. And I think they're trying to pick up the pieces, especially offensively, after suffering this loss.
Go ahead, Craig.
Bo, I'm just curious. It's a minor piece in this game, but there's been so much hype around it. We finally got to see Darius Robinson play in this game. Your takeaways from his first action as an NFL rookie?
I mean, the defense when Darius Robinson was on the field was unbelievable. I mean, they had one drive where I think he was on the field and they surrendered, significant points. But outside of that, when he was on the field, the Vikings were going backwards or they weren't moving at all. I mean, Sam Darnold just could not complete passes. I think at one point he was like 1 for 5. He was sacked 4 times. Darius Robinson, while on the field, the defense, I think, was feeding off of that. But you wouldn't get that sense when you talk to the young man. I asked him straightforward, how'd your debut go? He said, I didn't make enough plays. I said, well, you guys were making plays while you were out there. He's like, yeah, the guys around me were balling. I didn't do enough. So he was a bit disgusted in his performance. So, given that, I mean, you got to be excited as a fan to see this team's success, but then also the player wants more from himself going forward.
Bo, what do you make of, Jonathan Gannon saying in the postgame what we all know, the Cardinals need to score more touchdowns. They're averaging just 14 points per game post-bye after really taking off before the bye, winning 4 straight. Yet we see the conservative nature of Drew Petzing, maybe with JG's blessing, draws to DeMercado on 3rd and long instead of allowing Kyler Murray to make plays. There's a clear coaching effort with Kyler Murray. Just throw the completions before the sticks. The downfield passing game, which briefly emerged on the Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown drive. Outside of that, the Cardinals seem fine playing conservative, and it bit them at the end of the game. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were to look at the drives and see, Michael Wilson was a bigger part as far as the downfield passing game goes. Another masterclass performance from your tight end, Trey McBride. He was a big player in the passing game as well. It was just unfortunate they just couldn't get it done, I think, in the money areas. I do think that they moved the football, I guess the consistencies, the amount of targets that Marvin Harrison Jr. saw, and then the completions or lack thereof that you saw, that's the biggest concerning part for me. I mean, there just were a lot of low percentage throws there that you weren't going to be able to hit on. But no, I mean, I think that they actually, as far as what you saw from the downfield passing, saw a little bit of an uptick this week, but still just not good enough overall offensively. I mean, the conservative nature of the offense, it eventually came back to bite them in the form of the game-winning score, where you trading field goals for touchdowns ultimately cost you the game. But they were willing to go on this defense had surrendered 1 touchdown in 14 quarters. I think that they felt confident in that. But once the Arizona Cardinals scored with Marvin Harrison Jr., that lit a fire under Sam Darnold and this Vikings offense, and it just looked completely different afterwards. And there was a shift as far as the defense and its ability to make stops and get off the field. And unfortunately, it caught up with them at the wrong time and cost them the game.
Yeah, Bo, you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr., another kind of up and down performance for the 4th overall pick. We've talked about it ad nauseum. What'd you see from Marvin? He had 12 targets, just 5 catches. The interception at the end of the game, people critiquing his route running again. We know number 18's hard on himself, maybe to a point, or to a fault. But, what do the Cardinals do at this point with Marvin clearly kind of laboring this late in the season, albeit, sometimes producing still?
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to find ways to put him in a position to play fast. But when you're going up against the defense that disguises itself so well, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Like, you're going to see some easy passing catches, and then you're going to see it look really tough for, the quarterback and the wide receiver to connect. And it's unfortunate. And I don't know, if the game flow really kind of fit, trying to work him in, maybe some underneath. I know that they did they did do a couple different things that we haven't seen to try to get him the football, but still wasn't efficient enough, I think, for anybody's taste. So it just continues to be a work in progress. But, the perfect pass from Kyler Murray, good route run by Marvin Harrison Jr. on the TD, just didn't see enough of it from them today. And that seems to be the status quo, unfortunately, for this Cardinals passing attack, or at least that duo.
We're going to keep it locked in here with Bo Brack. We've got more here on the show. I want to remind everybody, if you're watching with us on our streaming platforms, jump on over to gophnx.com. The party continues here, the pity party. Drop a like on this video again. If you're watching with our streaming partners, we're trying to get our likes up here at gophnx.com to 1,000 on a post-game show. We've got more from Bo Brack, as well as some clips from Darius, and, of course, your super chats. I do want to jump into Damon Dog, a little by the numbers here. And, gentlemen, it is a gross display based on the fact that the Cardinals dominated in every facet imaginable. Turnover, 1-1, but they beat them in total yards. They beat them in passing yards, rushing yards. Now, they did have more penalties, which, again, very questionable penalties from the officials and some self-induced. But there's the money one right there. Red zone efficiency, Cardinals 1 for 6, Vikings 2 for 4. And again, that's with the Vikings being 1 of 8 on 3rd down, Bo Brack. I mean, the Cardinals gave the Vikings every opportunity to kind of crawl back into this game. How much do you put on the quarterback and the play caller? If I had to ask you percentages, how, does Kyler Murray need to wear this loss again, losing in the 4th quarter? Or are you, like a lot of people in the chat, ready to fire Drew Petzing? What do you make of this, Bo?
No, I'm not ready to fire Drew Petzing. I think that's ridiculous. I feel like a different game out there. I thought that they moved the football pretty well. It was a really good drive there to try to ice this game. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done. The 10 penalties here is the telling stat here. I mean, especially when you start, if you peel back that onion a little bit, you find out where those penalties were, both offensive and defense. It was in the red zone, and they were costly. And they moved the offense backwards, and they moved the opposing offense for the Vikings forward. The T.J. Hawkinson one stands out to me. I mean, it seemed like every single one of those penalties was crucial as far as just kind of real detrimental to the momentum of what they wanted to do on the field of play. I'm not sitting. I really don't think I know that there's the Petsing detractors out there. I'm not putting this on him. I think you wanted to see a better performance from your quarterback down the stretch, no doubt about it. But this was in every sense of the word, a team loss, and it really was the undisciplined nature of those penalties and where they happened that was backbreaking for this team.
What do you make of Jonathan Gannon's decision to kick it in the game's final minutes there? I know you said they wanted to put it on their defense, but would you have gone for it on 4th and 4 from the 4-yard line?
No, I think that's the percentage play. You go up and you have to force them to go down and score a touchdown. And I mean, I think that's probably the smart play. That's probably what the numbers tell you. It gives you a couple of yards to for your defense to play around with. But the Vikings at that point were moving the football with ease. So I don't know if that gives you that much of an advantage. I think you put the pressure on them by going up and making them get in the end zone instead of you go for it and they're able to potentially march down and just win with a field goal.
Bo's
or tie.
Yeah, of course. Bo's appearance brought to you by our guy, Coach Stark Homes. Are you in the market for a home? If so, get a hold of Coach Stark today, and he will help you out. Get in touch with him. Here's his phone number. Call him right now, 623-695-3929. Go to CoachStarkHomes.com or follow him on all social platforms at Coach Stark Homes. He helped find me my dream house with our family. He can do the same for you. Again, there's nobody better here in the Valley, realtor or otherwise, CoachStarkHomes.com. Britton Golden, I want to loop you into this conversation with Bo Brack. And again, echo kind of your sentiments a little bit earlier on Marvin Harrison Jr. Bo will pose this question, but at first I want to throw it to Britton Golden. Do you feel like now's the time to pivot from Marvin being number one and go to somebody like Michael Wilson?
As much as you want to say pivot, I just think it needs to be. I think Michael Wilson deserves, based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks, I think he deserves to be more of a feature because at this point he's the one making the plays. Right, the last 2 weeks, right? He's going out. His routes feel like there's more conviction in the route. It feels like he's got more determination to go after the football. I mean, the touchdown ball to Marv today was good. He ran a good route, right? But it's one of those situations where it looks like he knew the ball was going to him regardless.
Yeah.
So it was to the point of, okay, I got to get here to get the ball. I feel like on the flip side of that, when he knows he might not be the featured receiver, you're starting to see lazy routes. You see, maybe this, maybe that. Right? I'm not trying to threaten this DB downfield before I break it off, and that's why I'm getting the ball batted down. That's where you put the back shoulder play. It looks like he's not ready. There was a back shoulder ball that Kyler threw that was actually a really good ball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Marvin was just not expecting it or not ready for it, but the radius is just he didn't make the play in this situation. And you can see the look on Kyler. Kyler had the whole thing, grab his helmet and look down. He threw the ball exactly where it needed to be on the back shoulder. Now, I don't want it to sound like you want to take Marvin out of the game plan, right? Because you can't take him out of the game plan because that's why you brought him in. But at the same time, when you come out before the game and say, we're going to find ways to get him the football, we're going to do this, and he's not helping himself out in the route game, right? You can throw it to him 20 times a game, but if you don't help yourself out as a receiver in running good routes and trying to create separation, it's going to be batted balls. It's going to be drop balls. It's in that situation. So I think, right, you've got to find a way to start getting Michael Wilson a little bit more involved, right? Trey McBride's involved whether you want Trey McBride to be involved or not, just because you cannot take him out of the mix in that offense or you have no pass game. But I do think that Michael Wilson needs to be involved a little bit more. And as well as there's other receivers on this team that can make plays as well, but don't take Marv out completely. You don't want to, I mean, like I said earlier, if he goes into a shell and loses because he's not getting the ball now and he just disappears, that's just not being mentally tough. But there's got to be ways to get other people involved and not just think we have to get it to Marv. You do need to get it to Marv, but if he's not going to put himself and help himself out in situations, you're hurting yourself.
Who's maximizing their opportunities right now? I think that's an easy answer, right? I mean, what we've seen dating back to last game, including the moon ball that's over the head, Willie Mays style, and then you've got a couple of the catches that I don't think Marvin makes that Michael Wilson made, some tough catches, including his first one of the day, and then a big one on third down that he made. I mean, he's maximizing, like, I think, as far as his targets to catches, and then what you would probably look at what would be considered 50-50 balls that he's coming down with. He's relentless as far as his attack, getting the football. You know, he said, I mean, and Marvin Harrison Jr. gave him credit for it at his locker this week, Craig. We heard him talk about it. Like, he loves it from his teammate that he's maximizing those opportunities and the few targets that he's receiving. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how your game plan changes when you want to make your Z your primary target over your X. But, I mean, I think, Michael Wilson is carving out a role and then maybe deserves more.
Speaking of X, Craig, let's get to our X Factor player of the game. Lost in this discussion, which has been crazy in all the best ways. Mack Wilson Sr., phenomenal game. 7 total tackles, including 3 QB hits, 2 sacks, and a pass breakup. The free agent signing from New England and Cleveland, making his presence known. I thought this defense was going to carry the way, but Mack Wilson Sr. doing enough from the linebacker spot.
Are we all in agreement? I'm not sure there's much of an argument. Not much competition that he's the best free agent signing they made.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't
without a doubt.
Sean Murphy Bunting.
Hey, the offensive line played.
Without a doubt.
Guys, the offensive line bounced back today. And
it did. We talked about that.
Yeah. But no doubt about it. I mean, Mack Wilson Sr. can't take away from what he did today. The PBU was unreal, and then just the 2 sacks where he just came free and destroyed Sam Darnold twice were both pieces of art.
It's got to be hard for this Cardinal offense to look the defense in the eye the last 2 weeks when the defense got completely disregarded and was forgotten entering the season, and they don't have the big names, the quote-unquote headliners, and they're trying to will this team to an NFC West championship, and the offense just isn't getting it done. Like, I think that's the best way we can put it is, like, the defense is doing all that you could ask for, and the Cardinals are losing grasp on a playoff spot because the offense stinks. It's not good enough. It's averaging 14 points per game post-bye, and they can't beat winning teams because of it. Like, am I missing something here? Like, I think Jonathan Gannon's been good as a defensive head coach. I think special teams have been elite, and the defense has overachieved. The offense is blowing it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll push back as far as the 14 points per game is a silly stat. They were at 6 points last game. I know, but what they did against the top 5 defense, I think there was some good from it, but it wasn't good enough, right?
I mean, Caleb Williams put up almost 30 points on this defense last week.
Yeah,
I mean, this defense has been fine.
Right, and they put up 22 in a loss today. I mean, they needed to turn one of those field goals into a touchdown, and this is a completely different conversation. I'm not sitting here and saying burn it all down, and I don't think that the offense needs to play a little bit better. It's unfortunate. The red zone woes are what cost this thing the game, but to say like this the OC needs to be under fire and this offense is horrendously underachieving, I think that's a bit. I'm not prepared to say that.
Let's stick with that for a minute, Bo, because I want to ask you about we were talking about this in the context of the Seattle game. I felt like there was improvement in areas this week where you didn't come out of this game with the same feeling that, granted, they could have won this game and you didn't feel good about the fourth quarter, but I felt like there were things to build on this week. You didn't feel good about much after that Seattle game. Well, the defense, but I come out with a lot more positives, I think, out of this game, in spite of the fact that they were playing a team that was 9-2, and this is a really tough environment.
Yeah, let's not discount that at all. I mean, I don't want to give them a hall pass. I mean, it was the opportunities were there. It sucks. It really does suck. Like, it creates a zero margin for error for the team going forward. Mm-hmm. It's a brutal loss. It's a game that you could have won, and you're going to always be coming away like, hey, what could you have done better? And I think that the offense is, if you're going to say, hey, who's to blame here? Yeah, you can point your finger at them, but at the same time, they did bounce back from the performance last week. There wasn't any really other direction to go. I mean, let's be honest there. But, you have to be able to execute in the red zone. That was something that they were able to do during their stretch when they won 4 games in a row, and they haven't been able to do it really consistently the last 2 games. So that's an area of emphasis that has to change going forward if this team wants to continue to be considered a playoff contender. But, I also don't think that they're completely inept. They didn't get the job done. And this is a really good defense. This is an incredibly hostile environment, and the offense they fell short when they couldn't have, and it's really unfortunate. It was a tough loss for the Cards.
Let's hear from the franchise quarterback, Damon Dog. Kyler Murray on yet another tough road loss to stomach as they make their way back to Arizona.
Disappointed. Game we all felt like we, kind of let go, didn't execute, just didn't make enough plays, and they came back to bite us. So, that's a good team over there. We had a chance to put them away, we didn't. I mean, I thought the plan was great. I think we almost had 400 total yards of offense. I thought we moved the ball well. Again, it just comes down to, I feel like, not scoring touchdowns. Getting down there, kicking field goals again, and the penalties biting us. It's bad football. Again, I think we shot ourselves in the foot. I don't think we really ran any plays. I don't know how many penalties we had down there, but I think we were backed up, like put ourselves back behind the chains. How many times we get down there? 4. Yeah, I feel like every time we got down there, besides the touchdown to Marv, we kind of, and then obviously right before the 2-minute, we had penalties. Last one was tough, but we got a lot can be better. No, I trust JG. I see both sides. Go up 6, make them score. Trust the defense, go get a stop. Go for it. You don't get it, still got to, they still got to go down and score. If we do get it, probably put the game away. Obviously, if we do run a play, I'm confident in us to get it, but I got full faith in what JG wanted to do there.
Kyler Murray, Bo, under criticism again after not coming up big in the fourth quarter. What do you make of the franchise quarterback's performance today? I thought he was really good in the first half, but you waited for that quote unquote kill shot that never came today, and Kyler Murray's going to want some throws back because of it.
Yeah, the third down, he said he was trying to throw that football away. It looked like Michael Wilson was targeted. It was a pick from former Cardinals cornerback Byron Murphy, and that kind of swings the momentum in that game. And then you get the ball back minute 13, down 1 to all 3 timeouts, and really just get nothing going offensively. I think Kyler Murray is welcoming as far as putting the blame on him, as far as not being able to march down and put themselves in a field goal range situation to potentially win the game.
Craig, you've got some advanced stats, next-gen stats as it relates to the downfield passing game that is still non-existent for this team, and it's pretty significant considering the fact that if I look up at the numbers for the Cardinals today, Kyler Murray completed over 20 passes, yet next-gen stats say that's a little bit of fool's gold.
Well, 2 of 5 completions 20 yards and beyond, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, 2 of the incompletions were interceptions. So not a successful downfield passing game for the Cardinals. And that's something we've been talking about all season.
It hasn't been fixed. Not by any stretch through 12 weeks. Damon Dog, let's get to those super chats, my guy.
Let's do it. We got a lot. Thanks for all your guys' support. Let's start off with Josh. $10 says, have to go for it on 4th down there. No difference between 3 and 6 point lead. You get it, then you are up 10. If not, Vikings start at 1 to 3 yard line. Give your defense a chance to make that play.
I mean, there's an argument to be made there, but
the math
again,
ain't mathing on that. There's no difference between a 3 and 6 point lead. Yeah, there's a difference between a field goal and a touchdown.
And all coaches go off those numbers, like you were talking about earlier, Bo. They play the percentages in those situations. You can make an argument that you got to go by feel a little bit. What's your defense doing? What's their offense look like? Sure, that should factor into it. But yeah, they will play the percentages by and large in those situations.
Hector Fimbres, $2, says, we need a new OC. This is not working. Got Aiden. Drew is a schmuck. A lot of Drew Petzing ones today. Fishbowl Flash, hashtag hold the line for a new OC. Congro Jenkins says, Cam Ward season. Kyler is
gross.
If you watched what he did yesterday, you gonna take that statement back.
Cam Syracuse.
Let's keep going.
You want to Caleb Williams too, probably.
Steve Kimes Burner. Drew can only call go routes for all receivers.
I agree with that. I feel like that's the only deep ball we throw is a go route.
Here, but Bo, can we talk about something? Yeah, Jonathan Gannon with Tom Pelissaro before the game talking about Marv's going to have a big game, and Marv didn't have a catch until right before the end of the half. Like,
He had 12 targets, Johnny.
What's going on? They took this guy 4th overall to be Julio Jones, A.J. Green, Jamar Chase, and it's like, what you talk about the math ain't mathin'. That's not mathin'. Like, who are you putting the blame on? Are you putting it on Drew, Kyler, or Marv right now based on the fact that, like, here's what I know. this offense does not emphasize wide receiver play. If this was the offense with, we're seeing in Cincinnati or some of these other prolific passing attacks, and Marv's out there just kind of wandering, then you've got an argument to be made. This offense didn't need another receiver. Like, you could make an argument they should have taken a tackle based on how he's being utilized. Like, who are you putting the blame on?
All three.
Well, that's
I
a
think
cop
all
out.
three catch it.
I want to hear Bo tell me who's putting the blame.
Yeah, I'm putting the blame on the duo on the field. I mean, I think as far as what they wanted to try to do, 12 targets, 5 receptions. I think that as far as things are maybe a little crisper as far as the routes and as far as putting him in a position to make the play. I think that's where as far as my opinion goes, why things didn't work. But as far as the coaching staff, it lines up with what your head coach said. You got 12 targets today.
Were they good targets though? Were they winning targets? Outside of the Rams and the Miami game, it just feels everything looks hard.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, I guess you could at least ask the question: are they playing to Marv's strengths with the routes that they're running with him? That's a question worth asking. We can certainly look, and we've talked about it today on the show. Marv was at fault on like three different incompletions. They were his fault. When we saw it, it was pretty clear. But are they putting him in a position to succeed? I think it's fair to at least ask that question.
Agreed.
And
the
again, go ahead.
3rd and 2, was it the 3rd and 2? Was that the opening drive? There was the disconnect. There was the miscommunication there. I mean,
why is there miscommunication in Week 12? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We were told pro-ready prospect the last 10 years. They've been throwing passes together since flipping May, and we're talking about.
Sorry, this isn't Indiana. This is the Minnesota Vikings top 5
no, but come on,
defense in the league.
Don't be disingenuous now. Like,
I'm not.
You're out here. It looks too
Hey,
hard.
It is.
The great OCs find a way to make it look easy. Screen passes, bubble screens, end arounds, easy completions, get his confidence going.
I agree. I want to go back to what Craig said about, are we putting him in the situations, the route running situations that go to his strengths in route running, right? I feel when we see Marv go for a deep ball, it's a go ball. That's the only deep ball we've seen him run all season long. It's been a deep ball. It's been a go. We haven't seen a post. We haven't seen really a double. I mean, he almost tried to run a double move the last play of the game. I mean, I'm not going to call it a double move, but I mean, is he being put in the situations, to make plays? On the flip side of that, we are seeing a lot of miscommunication between the two on the field. In the first quarter, he had, I guess it was the 3rd2 you're alluding to, where it looked like he ran a curl route, but Kyler threw it like he was supposed to run a stop route. All right, so who miscommunicated there? Was it a bad route? Was it a bad throw? One, we don't know because we're not in that locker room. But the miscommunications on the back shoulder ball, Marvin Harrison's not ready to catch a back shoulder ball. It's not I guess, I don't know if he was not thinking about it.
Yeah.
There's lots of communication and, being on the same page issues with the two on the field. And that goes on both of them. That goes to quarterback and receiver. Because of all, like Johnny said, you've been working together since May.
Kyler told us more than a month ago this was fixed, if you remember.
It's not fixed. It's getting worse.
It's not. I mean, and a lot of it,
he had Scrub McGrub on him in the second half. They lost the top corner for Minnesota. They had a backup on him.
Most of these plays, the blame is on these two. Because at this point, you're in week 13. You can't have miscommunications, and you can't not know, what your quarterback's thinking or what your receiver's thinking at this point. So
I think you make an argument, Bo, that if they don't make the playoffs, this is the reason why. Because there's a disconnect in the passing game, and it's with the quarterback and the play caller and the receiver. Isn't that nuts that we're even suggesting that? This should have been the strength of the team. The defense is unbelievable. The run game's there. The offensive line bounced back. This is what's weighing the team down. I don't think you can argue that. It is weighing the team down to the point where they can't score touchdowns, and this looks like the preseason. They're 5 of 12? Against a backup corner, that's preseason stuff, Bo Brack.
The disconnect, that is absolutely something that needs to be remedied and should have been remedied a long time ago. I don't disagree with that.
Damon, let's keep them going.
Let's do it. Michael says, the fact that Gannon trusted his defense over offense at that last play is a major problem and indictment on Petson.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I think you The offense showed you couldn't get it done today.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that entirely because, again, you play the percentages in those situations. I understand what coaches are thinking, but to put this on the defense, it's astounding that he would think that in the first place because 4 or 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, we would have been like, you're nuts. No, you got to score the touchdown because there's no way with the personnel that you've got that this defense is going to get it done. It's crazy that they were even in that headspace, but I'm not sure it's entirely fair to expect your defense. This is not like generational defenses, the Baltimore Ravens or the Chicago Bears, where you're like, just hand it over the D. We know they're going to get off the field. You're still deficient in a lot of areas. Yeah. Nick Rawls is doing an unbelievable job to accomplish what they have, but it's a tough look when you're going to put it on your defense to try and win the game for you, given that situation.
They'd given up 2 touchdowns in 15 quarters going into that situation. So they were, as far as the percentages, I think they even weigh a little bit even more in the favor of kicking the field goal and making them score a touchdown.
We actually got a super chat about that, Bo. Brian says here for $5, says bad take, 80% chance to win with a field goal, 88% chance if you go for it. The Vikings don't go for it on 4th and 7 and kick a 51-yard field goal with their kicker. I don't know.
What's the percentage?
What's the from?
That's if you get it. That's if you get it. What was it? 4th and what?
4.
4th and 4.
4th and 4. Anybody remember what 4th and 1 looked like last week?
Anybody remember Drew Petzing dialing up draw plays on 3rd down in the red zone, conceding field goals?
Does anybody want to see Trey McBride catch a touchdown pass this year?
Let's keep it going. They're going to kick me off the field
to Max
shortly.
When that happened, I told Max, I said, throw the ball to Trey McBride 4 times. He's scoring a touchdown there.
Even if he doesn't, he gets a first down there. Go ahead.
Big mistake talking to Max. That's your biggest mistake.
Fair enough.
Keep going.
Snack says, how many chances are we going to give Petzing?
Well, he's probably going to get the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah. I don't see any change coming before the end of the season.
Shake, Drew holding back this whole team back. I'm not buying any tickets to any game if Drew Petzing is still employed by this organization.
Bo, you're in the minority. The consensus is Drew Petzing's atrocious.
You're the only one that loves it.
Chill, Bo.
Yeah. I'm here sitting here. I love it.
Guy.
Like, it's one of those things. It's like the takes are so strong. I have to sit here and I look like I'm defending him, where I could just sit there with you guys and say that, there's things need to be better, but everybody's like, he's the worst offensive coordinator in the history of football. It's just like, guys, come on. Like,
you're getting an apartment together. Sign your lease.
Yeah.
Bo, is Drew standing just off screen?
Yeah. Blink twice. Blink twice if you're in trouble. All right, Damon, let's keep it going.
Yep. We'll keep going with Josh here. Says, bright spot with D-Rob in the game. Unknown last drive. Darnold 1 of 6, 9 yards, and 5 sacks total of minus 13 yards. Shame he didn't play more.
This is a defensive team.
Well, he was on a play count, so there wasn't going to be he wasn't going to play 65 plays this game. But I agree with you. Like, he's not going to show up in the box score. He didn't have 3 sacks. He didn't have tackles for loss, but the damage he caused on the interior of that offensive line was he was in the game. Even when he lined up outside.
Anybody would have taken the results.
Oh, my goodness. He's collapsing the pocket out there. Just because he wasn't making the play doesn't mean he wasn't doing what they brought him in to do. And it's hard to see from a fan standpoint because you're not looking at the game in that instance. But what he was able to do in collapsing the pocket and allowing guys like Mac Wilson to get in there and get sacks and Kazir White to get sacks, guys like that to get in there and make the play. That's what you drafted him for. You drafted him to create havoc because he's a big, strong individual that can create havoc and create problems in the interior of that offensive line.
I'm going to tell you right now, the Vikings are undefeated when they don't allow 30 points. If they allow 30 points, they're 0-2. That was the formula today. You could not sit back and kick field goals. The defense did enough. You got playing patty cake in the red zone today. That's why you lost.
Penalties too. Let's not. I mean,
penalties were bad.
All you have to do is score 30 against the. That's all you need to do. Just score 30 against the top 5 defense. Just score 30 against the top 5 defense. That's that easy.
Johnny's sitting there when Jonah Williams starts the game at right tackle.
Johnny's sitting there drinking a beer.
We're not talking about
Gila River.
Go to the next one, Damon.
0-3 when Jonah Williams plays. Congrats.
Psycho Blue
6-3
says, football, as a thought, thinks the Cardinals should have gone for it instead of settling for another field goal. You reap what you sow.
Yeah, we beat that one to death.
Let's keep it going.
Trevor Begay, why are we playing safe? Go for the touchdown. We can't take control of our division. Can't get my hopes up with this team. Been let down too many times.
I mean, they got to – we'll talk about it here in a little bit. They got – I mean, the season –
That's for me where I want to see Drew more aggressive. That's if I'm going to put anything on Drew Petzing, those opportunities in the first half.
It's not good enough, Drew. You're not good enough
when you're in the red zone. Yeah,
you've been bad.
Z Warlock, the offense is not rhythmic. The offense scheme seems to lack a little creativity. Drew Petzing equals Mike McCoy.
Jesus.
I mean, like, I'm gonna point something out to everybody. I want everybody to ask.
Bo's about to leave, by the way.
No, he's got
Mike
Just walk into the
McCoy.
distance.
Mike McCoy.
Hey, Bo, I'm gonna ask everybody right now. Kyler Murray, we all agree, has big-time talent, can throw the football. In a league where it rewards passing, how many multi-passing touchdown games does Kyler Murray have in 12 games this year? Does anybody know?
2.
Anybody want to take a guess?
2.
That's right. 2 games. Against the Miami Dolphins and against the LA Rams. Big games for Marvin, those games. Kyler Murray, 2 for 12. Multi-passing touchdown games. Like, you can throw shade at Marvin all you want. It's a collective psychological, philosophical breakdown. This passing game does not exist downfield to wide receivers. It is not an offense that emphasizes that. And that's coaching. I know Kyler Murray can throw flipping touchdown passes. He's been doing it since he was 20 years old in this league with Cliff Kingsbury, fraud as a head coach. This is an indictment of the coaching staff right now.
Vondo,
he hasn't had a downfield ball since 2021 consistently, but go ahead.
Vondo, I don't completely blame Drew, but what's up with having all your receivers running to one side of the field? He did it twice. Both ended horribly.
Mic drop there.
Bo got nothing left.
Guys, you're making me sit here and get on Drew Petzing. I don't want to be there.
We probably should let Bo go. Like, take his leisurely walk along the river. I know you want to enjoy nature in Minneapolis.
Dan T, kind of funny. Cliff gone. Still sucks. Second half. K1 is mid. Z Warlock, Marv is unenthusiastic and can't catch.
He can catch. He just needs to figure some stuff out.
Yep.
Baharo says, team lacks speed, poorly coached wide receivers, and both Drews are bad.
Is it Drew Terrell?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark Phil, he's a Vikings fan. He said, had to come back because y'all said to come back after the game, LOL. Hashtag skull, but nah, really great games. Y'all scared me there. What's funny is in this chat right now is the Vikings fans have actually all been pretty nice, and it's a bunch of Seahawks fans that are getting super toxic.
That's fine. We appreciate
just keep tuning in every week.
I mean, that kind of tracks for
it.
Minnesota anyway. You've heard the term Minnesota nice, right?
Yeah.
It's true. Reezy baby,
nice
time to
place.
feed Michael Wilson. I'll hop back on Marv Train when he decides to show up. Love you all. Everyone drop a like. We need PHNX for this.
Yep.
That's why we're here. Hello, friends.
T. Votto says, dumpster Drew. Breezy baby says, should we have taken Neighbors? Question mark.
And no, it's you can put flipping Randy Moss in this offense right now. The passing game's not there.
Know, Johnny. That boy runs routes aggressively. He attacks that football aggressively.
And that's what I like about Michael Wilson right now.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
is attacking the ball. He is fearless.
There's a difference in how Mike's playing the game and how Marv's playing the game right now. Continue.
Nick H. Kyler Murray cannot win when it matters.
We talked about that one too. And in the past 2 weeks, you would have liked to see your quarterback make a play.
Yeah.
PR Mac, this offense is off schedule. Appreciate McBride and Wilson getting strong. No innovation with play calls. Hint Trey Benson wheel route in a new QB. What to hand the ball off. K1 prevented 7 sacks.
Here's what you need to play quarterback for this team if you're Drew Petzing is like a Tebow-esque Army-Navy H-back right now because that's the offense that they're running.
You're going back to
Next,
the gear?
Yeah.
next.
Let's
go.
get a
Turn his
hybrid
mic
QB
Turn
that
his
can
mic
run the
off.
football.
This has reached
Go to the
a level
next.
of absurdity I can't stomach anymore.
Let's get Tebow out here and
Listen.
let's do 10 of 12 with 150 yards passing and
Somebody
400 yards
steal
running.
somebody
You guys are
steal
worse than
Johnny's
my
keys
6-year-old twin
and
boys
make
at
him
home.
walk
I
home
swear
after
to God.
those comments. Make him walk home after
That's
those
what Drew
comments.
Petzing
Steal his
wants.
keys.
That's the reality.
That's
Drew wants.
embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Johnny, you said it
Next.
the other day. Alex Smith is probably like Drew's ideal quarterback.
Oh, chef's kiss, game manager. Let's do it. Let's just play ball control, baby. this defense, who has no name talent, is keeping you in games, and that's the kind of offensive output you've got. Gross.
I need a super chat cleanser. Keep it going.
T-Botto says Mazda Marv.
Oh God.
Here's a nice super chat. Okay. Iron comes in and says Britton Golden is so common sense smart. Wilson is clearly the number 1 receiver. McBride number 2. Marvin number 3. And this is Marv's doing. No one else.
I don't know about smart, but appreciate it.
Trey's number 1, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that is your number 1 target.
The takes that are coming out of the gentleman right next to you, you look brilliant.
I'm feeding the flames here. They can't throw passing touchdowns. They've got 2 multi-passing touchdown games this year, 12 games.
Oh, God.
XChentX says, we're wasting a healthy season from Connor and Murray plus a fantastic defensive coach 100%. Because we're too proud to fire Petzing. I can't stand him.
That's my fear. That's my fear is you get a quarterback playing at this level and he's healthy all season. How often does that happen in this league?
Bo, like it or not, the people want Petzing gone. And I feel for you in your stance of, well, it's not on him. Who else is it on? It's got to be on him. Because Kyler's not going anywhere. Marv's not going anywhere.
But they still have to, regardless how bad the play calling is, you still got to convert and you still got to execute on the field. So there's blame. As much blame as we're going to give Petzing, there still has to be blame that goes on the 2 on the field between those 2, making the plays. So you got to get open. You got to make the throw. You got to block. This is the ultimate team game. You can't. It's hard to put the blame on one person, and as soon as we lose, it feels like everybody wants to attack Kyler. Are there things Kyler could have done better? 100%, but there's also 10 other people on that field that have to do their job at the same time. That's why football is the ultimate team sport.
I mean, Kyler Murray's on pace for, I think, like 18 passing touchdowns this year.
Yeah, well,
not good enough. Not good enough. And again, I'm watching Bryce Young throw multiple touchdown passes in a game. Like, what are we doing here? Come on. Damon, let's keep it going.
Too slim, too shady. Says, I don't care about the 4th. If we had capitalized on some of those red zone chances in the first half, that last drive wouldn't have mattered.
Agreed.
Yep. We were too busy doing up draw plays for DeMercado. Those are winners.
Hayden, bench Marvin for a week. Fraudzing has to go.
Oh, no.
You can't bench him.
No, you're not benching.
You can't bench Marvin.
You'll lose the locker room if you do that.
It's not even the locker room that you're going to lose. It's just you're going to.
Well, you can't win. I don't think you can win without Marv playing. Clearly, they need Marv to be good to win games.
He's got 7 touchdowns this season?
Who's playing in his place?
Type of thing.
Who's playing in his place?
You guys looking to invest in Zay Jones at this point in the year? Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have about 1,000 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns this year. And we're talking like he's a hobo, like he's homeless. No,
he's a rookie. He's a rookie. Give him time.
Just let it grow.
He's not without blame, and he's not perfect. But this offense is what it is. It doesn't emphasize receiver play yet. Fix it. There's somebody who can fix it. His name's Jonathan Gannon.
Ant B, K1, go win the damn game.
I mean, I tweeted it out. I said, "This is Kyler Murray, go win it. This is a perfect time." It was the biggest half in Kyler Murray's recent career, and he didn't get it done. And he's got to wear that all week, and that stinks. Stinks.
Jamin 88, Gannon Alpha Rallis Alpha Petzing big time beta. Steve Kimes Burner. Drew would put 10 tight ends on the field if he could.
Oh, my God. Beautiful game from your boy, Bo Tip Ryman. Tip Ryman out there just crushing it, really living up to that third-round draft pick status.
He did have a 10-yard catch to open the game, though.
He immediately did that and then turned out one of the worst performances by any rookie this year.
Oh, my God.
He thought his role had changed in this offense, I think.
I think if you put Marvin at tight end 3 in 13 personnel, he probably tears it up in Drew Petzing's offense.
Why aren't you asking those questions? Ask the real questions, Bo Brack, at the presser tomorrow.
Isaiah Spiro, Drew calls for third down offense will never excel.
It's gross. It's very gross.
Weren't they decent on third down? What was their third down conversion?
They were like 35%. I mean, the Vikings completed one third down.
5 of 13.
Yeah, the Vikings completed one, and then they beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy stat. 1 third down conversion for Minnesota.
And they won the game. And they won the game because of Drew.
Our sweet Charlie Sinclair says, why did the Cards draft MHJ?
Because they were smart because he was the best prospect.
There's a lot of upside. He has a ton of upside. It's got to start clicking up here for him.
When are you going to take – it's like you're taking your BMW off-roading and you're like, what's going on here? Why can't it sustain this off-field, off-road turf when it's like, no, it's meant to be taken on the interstate. And
Charlie roots for a team where their first-round draft pick wide receiver can't catch a pass. So thanks for the super chat.
Yeah. Let's keep it going, Damon.
Piercy, wide receiver problems. Is it the wide receiver, offensive coach, or wide receiver coach?
I mean, we've hit it a lot. I think
it's always it's a mix of everybody.
Always is.
Everybody's at fault.
Josh, love BG, super real and real favorite Cardinal and commentator for me. Absolutely right about the offense. Keep it up, BG.
It's one of our favorites.
I wasn't a very great Cardinal, but I appreciate it.
Dana, play design an issue. Lots of route tree comebacks and back shoulders. Need to force defenders to choose between two receivers for easy reads instead.
Everything looks hard. There are no wide receivers schemed open. Everything has even Marv's touchdown was contested catch. Like how many times has Marv been like wide open and he caught a completion? Like I could probably count on one hand.
That just comes back to separation. Though.
Yeah, I agree with you in part on that. That was a hell of a throw and catch, though.
Great throw. Great throw.
Yeah. To kind of like say that's a contesting. That was just a good play, good execution.
Sure, and he's got to make those, but again,
we gotta poo-poo the good plays now too. We just gotta be upset about everything.
They got one They got one touchdown post the bye. That's manure. That's poo-poo. That's bad.
Nick comes in and says, if you would have told me before the game we'd have the ball down 1 with 1:13 seconds and 3 timeouts and wouldn't get a single first down, unbelievable.
Yeah, fair. Fair.
That's tough.
That's where you got to execute. You got to execute there.
Cesar, officiating was terrible. We won't have favorable calls until we're a profitable team. We must rally and show the NFL we have a profitable market.
I mean,
there was some questionable ones, yes, but the holding penalties are really what are killing you. When you've got 1st and 10 inside the red zone and you have a play that goes out and is successful and there's a flag in the backfield and it's a 10-yard penalty, and now you're sitting at 1st and 20, now you're sitting at 2nd and 17, now you're sitting at 3rd and 13. Like, that's where you beat yourself in the penalty aspect. Where there's some bad calls, yes, but there's bad calls in every NFL game. So to the point, a lot of it comes down to discipline, especially on this offensive line. The discipline to know, hey, my hands are outside, let go, right? I can reestablish inside if not. But you're taking, like last week, for instance, we took a touchdown play off the board because of a bad hold in the red zone, right? The Cardinals are killing themselves right now by putting themselves behind the sticks to start drives with 1st and 20s and 2nd and 3rd and long. So that's to say bad officiating. It looks bad because the Cardinals had 10 penalties compared to 2 or 3 from the Vikings, but those holding penalties were all valid holding penalties, and they all put you in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd and long.
Greg Hanlon. So next week we talk about draft board.
No.
Next week we talk about first place in the NFC West because that's still what's at stake.
Grabs.
Brian Fulton comes back to back and says the wide receiver room is literally the worst in the league.
I don't know.
They drafted this group. They drafted the top 2 receivers, so they have to back them. And Michael Wilson's, I think,
the product you're putting out is
right.
The worst in the NFL, yes. But it's saying that the guys in there are the worst. No, I wouldn't give you that. It's bad execution by this offense in general.
PR Mac, Trey McBride needs to be featured in the red zone.
Needs to be featured in the entire game. Trey McBride needs to have 14 targets, 15 targets a game because he catches 13 out of 14.
T. Votto, Bo and Drew enjoying half steaks tonight.
Bo eats his steaks. It's this guy right here that needs his steaks.
Let's keep it going.
Thank you.
Drew comes in and says there is no difference between 3 and 6 point lead. Either way, a touchdown beats you. Starting on the 30-yard line versus 1-yard line is the difference in field goal range.
There's a difference, but I agree with you to an extent right there. They have to score a touchdown to win the game either way. So
I mean, you were 4 yards away from winning the game.
I would love to have seen him go for 4th down right there because, like you said, if you don't get it, you got to drive this entire field. You got to score a touchdown period to win it. If they kick the field goal, you go to overtime, you fight it there. But there is a difference though, because the difference in kicking the field goal, I can see it from both ways, is if they drive the field, and they get into field goal range and they get stopped, which the Cardinals defense had done a good job, especially in the first half, of stopping them in the red zone and forcing field goals. Now they have to go for it on fourth down in that situation, and there's a better chance. So I can see it both ways. I would have loved them to be more aggressive, though.
Aiden comes in and says, Drew's a bad guy. I'm going to leave it at that. That's solid. Brian says, we haven't played to win a game since Bruce Arians left. Kyler on 4th and 4 in the red zone. He has enough skill to make those plays. Darnold did.
We just talked about it.
Darnold played better.
Cruz said, Drew used his bald head to blind the organization into believing he's good at his job. # get some hair.
It's aggressive.
Too evil
Agreed.
to hope. Too evil to hope. Do any of you regret Kyler being retained?
No. Look around the league.
Osmar, what's the tipping point for Drew? Fire for everyone.
If they continue to crumble offensively the second half, it's supposed to be the strength of the team. Like, how many positions realistically are they going to upgrade in the offseason on offense? Like, maybe get a guard. Like, your tackles are set, your center's set, your running back set. You got your wide receivers, you got your tight end. You're going to upgrade your guards. You got three tight ends. Cut the BS here. This is the offense for next year.
Interior offensive line is the only upgradable position you're going to get.
And they're going to say experience and all this stuff, and we're going to have more time in the offseason. Cut that out, too. You guys were practicing for 6 months, and you told us you didn't need the preseason. The offense is the same thing next year. Here's what you can change, though. Who's running it? Who's calling the plays offensively? The defense should be rewarded with new personnel because they're overachieving. Don't reward Drew Petzing if he fumbles and wets the bed down the stretch of the season.
Chaz says Petzing should go back to his Addams Family role.
These are getting wild.
Isaiah Spiro says Drew calls like my high school OC. We were 0-10.
Oh, man. Who's not 0-10? Our guy Craig Morgan, who's got phenomenal work at GoPHNX.com. Become a diehard shop. The Black Friday sale, which continues up until midnight today, 30% off on the All-City Network locker right now, up to 75% off. I know I dabbled, friends and family dabbled. They're getting elite deals, including the number 18 collection. It's all we have now is to grasp the number 18 collection. Can't rep a number 18 jersey. Again, 30% off the entire store, 75% off everything. Store.allcitynetwork.com here. As we, friends, drop a like on this video, as we look ahead to next week, Arizona Cardinals post-bye 0-2. Arizona Cardinals season hanging in the balance at 6-6. They welcome back the team that is as hot as anybody right now, the Seattle Seahawks, to State Farm Stadium. Cardinals, by the way, they've reestablished home field advantage to some extent. They've been playing much better, specifically offensively, at home. Craig, I'm going to start with you. What's the recipe for success, specifically for this team to get back on track and win what is now a must-win game against the Seahawks?
Well, clearly offensive execution has to be a little better. But I think this defense at this point is established who it is. And with Darius Robinson maybe getting even more reps, maybe it'll be a little more effective. You just need better execution. But I want to remind people, and I know you don't want to hear this because you've been waiting since the late 80s for, sustained success from this franchise.
Yeah.
But think where this franchise was last year. Think about, I'm not going to say the word, okay? Just think about progress, all right? They've already clearly made progress this season. First place is still on the line next week when the Seattle Seahawks come to town. So all that you want to accomplish this season is still in front of you in spite of these 2 weeks. You have a chance to win this division. You beat Seattle, you're in great position. Then you get the Patriots and the Carolina Panthers. You can still do everything that you want to do. So keep that in mind. All is not lost. They didn't lose the postseason possibility with this loss in Minnesota. Again, I thought there were some things that were okay or pretty good in this game. There's plenty still ahead for this franchise.
How big of a game is it for Kyler Murray next week, Britton Golden?
I think it's a big game for the whole team, offensively, defensively. Kyler Murray obviously has to go out there and take control and have a big game. Yes, you need to see it. But I agree with Craig. Like, you're a game away next week from being first place back in the division. Like, you win next week, you've got the first place nod back in the division. You're not out of this. The last 2 weeks have been bad losses, agreed. They killed themselves, though. Right? When the Cardinals beat the Cardinals, it's not a recipe for success. So at this point, it's consistency offensively and executing the plays that are called and going out there and just playing the game you're supposed to play and knowing that you still have an opportunity to make the playoffs, knowing that you have an opportunity to win this division. Like, it's all out there in front of you. You just got to make the plays when the plays are there.
But what do the Cardinals have to do offensively against the Seahawks defense that's white hot right now to get the job done, in your opinion?
They have to execute where it means the most in the red zone. They have to continue. They have to turn these field goals into touchdowns. They can't leave any points left on the field, and that's the biggest key for this team going forward is your margin for error is gone. You can't have any no-shows on either side of the football or any phase of football going forward. Like, I know you've got some winnable games as far as at home against the Seahawks, but we know the Seahawks aren't just to show up and win that game. They won handily last week, and they have a potential to beat you at home next week. And then the games after that, they should be winnable games as far as the Patriots and the Panthers, but your margin for error is now gone. So if you want to go to where you want to go, if you want to be taken seriously as a playoff contender, you have to take care of business starting next week and the weeks after that. Now, you had a chance to kind of give yourself some breathing room that doesn't exist any longer. So they have to, whatever things they need to fix offensively, get your quarterback, your number one receiver on the same page, execute in the red zone. It has to start beginning next week. You can't have any more blips any longer on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a legacy game for Kyler Murray because you win it, you're alive, you're in first place. If you lose it, I mean, the season's not over, but, I mean, you fumbled away a golden opportunity to win your first NFC West title as a 6-year pro. Kyler Murray, this is when this franchise needs you the most. You have your defense, you have your running game, you have your head coach, you got some skilled players that we're still high on regardless of how this season's gone. Go out and take that game. Don't let Geno Smith come into your building and put another loss on you. Don't lose your 8th straight game or whatever it is to the Seahawks that I think we all know are a little bit fraudulent. Like they beat the Jets today because the Jets jetted all over themselves. Like Leonard Williams, pick 6, like he's been fantastic. But the Seahawks scored 2 touchdowns today. Again, Geno Smith, he was solid, right? Kyler Murray was drafted first overall to be exceptional, to take over games like this, to help win you division titles and have deep playoff bursts. And I disagree, Craig, to some extent with what you said about being ahead of schedule. Cliff Kingsbury was once thought of as being ahead of schedule. He was 6-3 once upon a time in his second year and botched a end-of-the-season playoff run and finished 8-8 and missed the postseason. Nobody will remember the trajectory you were on. People will remember the fact that you were 6-4 in control of your own destiny and wet the bed when the season mattered, like what it always does for this Cardinal team, and they blow it in the months of December and January. Now, you have an opportunity to rewrite that. You got 5 games left. You can go on a run here, win the division. Nobody cares about the result today. It's an afterthought. But if you lose next week, the chatter only gets louder, and people will start to have concerns, certainly about the play caller and who's snapping the ball behind center. We thank everybody for tuning in today. Drop a like on this video. I think we got a couple more super chats. Damon Dog.
Yanks comes in, says the coup is happening and we're in position for first place SMH. Stay calm, just ups and downs of the league. We're going to be good.
All right, and then I see Richard asking, do you think they'll bring back Will Hernandez? I think maybe on a 1-year deal, but again, guard play, they can look at an upgrade in free agency, certainly in the draft. I think Evan Brown is probably more the priority right now. It's a priority for everybody. Like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Big thanks to our guy, Bo Brock, who will be back. Safe travels, my friend. We'll see you at mañana on a Monday's podcast. For Craig Morgan, BG, and Damon Dog, I'm Johnny Venerable. Big thanks to everybody at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass. Cardinals got a rebound. We will. We'll see you on a Monday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.